Fairmont Senior hosting Frankfort in the section semis. After a 0-0 first half, Senior gets an opportunity in the 48th minute. On the free kick, Isaac Branch fakes, but Bubby Towns takes the shot. It goes just wide, so we stay scoreless. A couple of minutes later, Bears get another chance. Rosario Jones settles the ball out of the air, taps it to Bubby, but his shot is wide again. The Falcons bending, not breaking just yet. One of the few times Frankfort threatened came in the 55th minute. Briar Cessna on the free kick, but Angelo Sabatino snags it out of the air to keep the shutout alive. Move to the 59th minute. Branch on for the free kick, and it's a beauty right to the head of Towns and into the back of the net. Senior can breathe a sigh of relief. It's 1-0, and that score held as final. Fairmont Senior advances to play East in the section championship on Saturday on the game-winning header from Bubby Towns.
I just saw a perfect ball by Isaac Branch, and he couldn't have put that in better, right on my head, right as we planned it, perfectly set up.
Bubby is great in the air, and he was able to get on it, and he placed it perfectly. I mean, it was either going in or it was going out of bounds, and so he placed it perfectly.
County, East Fairmont, and Fairmont Senior playing for the Region 1 Section 2 championship. The Polar Bears jumped ahead early in the 12th minute off a 40-yard free kick. The ball finds the head of Isaac Branch, and it finds the back of the net. Fairmont Senior takes a 1-0 lead. Just 3 minutes later, they strike again off a penalty kick from Bubby Towns, and Bubby runs this town. The Polar Bears are in front 2-0.
They tie the game at 2. That's career goal number 119 for him to add to his school record. But just seconds later, Bubby Towns gives the Polar Bears a 3-2 lead over the Maroon Knights. Would stay that way.
What about that? Oh, here we go!
Here near side. Flower. Back out top. Bubby Towns. Bubby Towns. Left foot sends it. It's good. Fairmont Senior. Bubby Towns. There's your championship in Class AA Single A. Boys. Up the left foot of Bubby Towns. And the Polar Bears claim the championship 2-1 over Robert C. Byrd here in overtime.
Now switching over to soccer, 2 teams from our region took home the state title today. Into the boys game first, the Robert C. Byrd Eagles take on the Fairmont Senior Polar Bears. Polar Bears had possession most of the first half. Fairmont Senior plays it up from the back. Bubby Towns has it now, plays a nice ball over to Nick Kiefover, who places it beautifully in the bottom left corner. Polar Bears go up 1-0. Fairmont Senior defense has, for the most part, shut down Corey Miles in the first half. RCB with a few shots on goal. Second half now, Corey Miles has possession. He is not stopping, gets right through the Polar Bear defense, and he shoots, he scores. RCB ties it here 1-1, and this game will go into overtime. In overtime now, Bubby Towns, and this is not who you want to have the ball here if you are the Eagles. Bubby finds the back of the net for the win. We've seen Bubby be this guy all season, and he's done it now for all the glory. Fairmont Senior is the 2019 AA state champion. What a game, what a season for the Polar Bears.
and Robert C. Byrd meeting up in the state AA title game today, and the Polar Bears struck first. 15 minutes in, Nick Kiefover sneaks one inside the back post. Fairmont Senior led 1-0 at the break. That score held until the 71st minute, where Corey Miles says, "This is my 4th time at States and we're not done yet." He flies past the defense, rifles one into the back of the net. At the end of regulation, we're tied at 1. That sends us to OT. In the early minutes, Ryan Lagerbeam with a chance to end it for the Eagles, but a great save by Angelo Sabatino keeps the game tied at 1. And that leads to this. 3 minutes left in the first OT. Bubby Town says Fairmont is title town. It's a left-footed strike for the win. They'll be going crazy in Fairmont this evening. The Polar Bears win their first state championship since 2015, an overtime thriller, 2-1 over Robert C. Byrd.
Perfectly described the scene here in Beckley as the Fairmont Senior boys and Morgantown girls each captured state soccer titles. Here's how both squads got it done.
Let's go Bears! Let's go Bears!
Starting with the boys, the Polar Bears battling Robert C. Byrd. This game was tied 1-1 through regulation, but in the first overtime, Bubby Town's golden goal lifted Fairmont Senior to a 2-1 victory and its first state championship since 2015. Yet again, the Polar Bears proved that Fairmont is West Virginia's title town.
Fairmont Senior, we have a high tradition of sports and athletics, and we're just very blessed, and the team's very happy, and I'm glad to be part of it.
We wanted it. We came out of conditioning. We wanted it all, and we came here, finished business, finished the mission.
And on the girls' side, Morgantown taking on Hedgesville for the AAA crown.
Your boys soccer team added another star to their Twitter AV and another state title to their trophy case this past weekend. Abby Backenstow has a story on the latest Polar Bear title run.
The Fairmont Senior Polar Bears brought the high school state soccer title back to the West Side for the first time since 2015. In both the state semifinal and in the final game, the Polar Bears saw familiar foes. Earlier in the season, Fairmont Senior tied Robert C. Byrd 3-3, and head coach Darren Paul says it was like 2 redemption games.
Well, that was awesome because honestly, we tied Winfield in the regular season too, so we overcame 2 ties in the regular season. We knew everything there was to know about Byrd just because we played them, and we play them every year, and we knew you have to control Corey, and we were able to do that for 99% of the games.
A physical game is what we saw during the battle for the state title. Despite going in with a defensive plan, about 7 minutes in, starting defender Steph Silgenbauer went down with an injury.
At first, I thought I was going to be rotating and stuff, and then at first, as soon as Seth got hurt, I got a little nervous. But as soon as I saw Kale play the first 5 minutes with me, he really stepped it up, and the other 2 outside backs really stepped it up, and that was one of our best defensive games all year.
And the guy you've heard about all season, leading goal scorer for the Polar Bears, sophomore Bubby Towns. 26 goals this season, and the one that mattered most, the golden goal in overtime to win the state title.
And I looked at Bubby and I said, I need you to finish one. And, he got 2 opportunities right before that. He said when he shot his second one, he knew he didn't hit it good enough, and that could have been the game winner. And so he said once he got the 3rd opportunity and he got to the top of the 18, he saw the keeper was kind of pulling off of his line. He hammered it to the corner and buried it. And that's the nice thing about him is, when he's in the zone like that, he's very tough to stop.
And what does it feel like to win a state title?
It